What's going on, everyone, and welcome back. Today is build day, and I think I've got something special in store for you. At the very least, it's special for me. Now, at this point, I've built a lot of computers, and I've built some that have a predominantly white aesthetic. However, this one right here, if all goes well, this could be the cleanest, sharpest one to date. Before we go any farther, let's break down what we've got. This whole build is going to be going into the Cougar Airface RGB case. This case comes in two colors, black, and for our build today, we're using the white one. If you haven't seen our unboxing video for this case yet, be sure to go and check that out. For our motherboard, we're going with the Gigabyte Z590 Vision G. This is marketed as the Gigabyte Creator motherboard for some reason, and this is an LGA 1200 socket, which means this works with 10th and 11th gen CPUs. The reason I went with this motherboard in particular is because it matches our white and silver aesthetic that we're going for. The heart of this motherboard is going to be with the Intel Core i7 11700KF processor. 8 cores, 16 threads, and exactly what we need for this. And one good thing about the 11th gen over the 10th are those Gen 4 perks. Moving on. For our graphic card, we're going with the RTX 3070. And for the keen-eyed among you, you'll notice that this is also the Gigabyte Vision version. So this is going to blend in beautifully with our motherboard and case. For RAM, we're going for 32 gigs, 36 speed at CL18. Now, I could have just bought a 32 gig kit, but I like it when you have a motherboard that has all the DIMM slots filled out. Just looks better. And since we're going with the RGB look, I just want something fancy. Now, speaking of fancy, I didn't want to cut any corners. So we're going with white cable extensions from Asia Horse. I've used these on some other builds in the past. They're affordable, and they add, a little extra sharpness. In addition to that, I'm going to be using something new to me anyway. Asia Horse also has these light bar kits. Now, the way these work, if I saw the instructions correctly, these actually sit in between your motherboard and the standoff for your motherboard and add an additional RGB rim around the exposed sides of your motherboard. It's a cool concept, and I'm excited to see what these look like in action. Now, keeping that 11700KF processor cool is going to be our Cooler Master Master Liquid ML240L V2 RGB White Edition. Yeah, I couldn't memorize that. I had to read that off the box. Cooler Master is a well-known name. This size fits in the form factor of our case, and you guessed it, it matches. Lastly, we're going to be powering this system with the Thermaltake Smart BM2 750 watt 80 plus bronze power supply. It's semi-modular, has flat black cables, comes from a well-known brand, and has some decent reviews. When it comes to power supplies, you really shouldn't cheap out on them. That's true for actual price or wattage. And Thermaltake right now, in my mind, is hitting that sweet spot of something affordable, so it's not budget, but also reliable and some quality. Last year I was using EVGA a lot to fit that slot, but I don't know if it's overall inflation or stuff that's been happening in their company, but I just haven't been able to find the deals on EVGA power supplies that I can with Thermaltake right now. So Thermaltake it is. So that's our parts list. I don't think I forgot anything. If I did, I usually find out about halfway through my build. So let's get to the fun part. A lot of my build videos, I skip the build montage, but you know what? Today, something special. I'll throw in a little bit for you. Let's do it. The M.2. 2 terabyte Gen 4 silicon power. These have been a great deal lately, and I've been using this brand for a while with no hiccups. Yeah, I can't. Alright everyone, there she is. Now let's address a couple things. One, this is not the same day, and I'm a little sick, so there's a voice change. Speaking of changes, I got a thing going on later, so wardrobe change. And three, for the keen eye among you, you'll notice that the RAM is different. The reason for that is, even though the RAM was physically functioning exactly how it should, even under XMP profiles, I could not get the RGB to work on a consistent basis. Now already I can hear some of you out there. Gigabyte's RGB Fusion is crap. And yeah, it's not the best software out there, but it was controlling the rest of the RGB in here with no issues. At first, the software did see the RAM and controlled it a little bit, but then after a few tries, the RAM stopped responding to the RGB controls. And on top of that, there were some times when you open the software, it wasn't even identifying it. I tried everything I know to do to get it working. I reinstalled the software. I tried older versions of the software. I tried 2 different types of software. I updated my BIOS. I updated my chipset drivers. I tried different kits of RAM that were from the same company, and G.Skill RAM, which matches with everything. And I consistently had the same problems. So since I couldn't get that RGB to sync up, but the RAM itself was working as it should, I decided to go with 2 white kits of RAM with no RGB. Still clean, still subtle, and still enough RGB to make it fancy. It's very warm in my studio today, and this 240mm AIO is still managing to keep the i7 11700K just under 80 degrees, which is a feat for that processor. But everything seems to check out, and it's running smooth. I hope you like today's build. I don't do the white ones very often, but when I do, it is rewarding. If you're curious about some of the other work I've done, there's a lot more of this on YouTube. But don't forget, I'm also expanding my builds on Facebook and Instagram. There's a lot of cool stuff out there, so feel free to take a look. If you like this build, hit like. If you want to see more, subscribe. I'll be back to you again soon with another build, and I've got some that are coming up which are even better. So I'll see you again soon. Bye.